What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of the 5 Takeaways, the final episode of the 5 Takeaways for the season, which sealed Leeds' fate back down to the Championship, but also sealed Spurs' fate for the first time since 2009. I think it is no Europe for Tottenham, and that is our first takeaway after that 4-1 victory against Leeds. No Europe.
Yeah, not even Conference League to enjoy next season. Spurs
to enjoy.
Exactly. Spurs
to suffer.
Spurs will have their first season since 2009-10 without European football. Funnily enough, though, that season we did get Champions League for the first time, as Harry Redknapp was allowed to have one game a week, and we did kind of benefit from that. It'll be interesting to see how Tottenham react next season to not having Europe, whether it will be a benefit or whether we could have used those games to kind of use the players and you bed in some of the younger players. But we're not going to have, as I think Bill Nick said, Spurs should always be in Europe, but we're not going to be in Europe next season. And part of me is a bit sad about it, but I think long term, hopefully we can use it to our advantage.
Look, it's frustrating that Spurs are not going to be competing in Europe, especially when you're thinking of the teams that are going to be competing in Europe next season. Brighton, Aston Villa. If West Ham win their cup final, then they're going to be in Europa League next season. So it is frustrating that those kind of teams are going to be in Europe and we're not. But I prefer to look at it and take the positives from it. And really, it will give the next manager time to work on the training pitch, one game a week. The fixture list won't be overcrowded and stuff like that. So I think we can take the positives from it. But yes, albeit it is very frustrating that we're not going to be in Europe next season. And we're a team that should be in Europe, and we've been in Europe every year since 2009, 2010, and prior to that we were in Europe as well. So it is frustrating, but I think that we should be taking the positives from it, that's for sure. But let's move on to number 2, and that is Kane, 10 times record breaker. So the records that he has broken this season are Tottenham's all-time record goal scorer, England's all-time record goal scorer, England's all-time tournament record goal scorer, 200 Premier League goals, second on the all-time Premier League goal scoring charts, most wrong-footed goals in the Premier League history, most away goals in Premier League history, most headed goals in Premier League history, most matches scored in a Premier League season, and most goals on a Boxing Day and on a final day of the Premier League. So all the records coming in for Harry Kane this season.
Yeah, obviously with that double against Leeds, that final record that you mentioned was broken. So another record on the long list for Harry Kane. Astonishing season, 30 Premier League goals and scoring in 26 different games, showing how consistent he's been. He's been making the difference so often. I think he's been worth... I think without him would be near the relegation zone in terms of points. I think in terms of winners, I think he's scored the most winners as well this season out of anyone in the Premier League. Considering how consistently Haaland has been scoring this season and how many games he's scored in, it seems he's scoring every week, and yet Harry Kane has scored in more games than Haaland has scored in, which is absolutely astonishing to think about. He's playing at such a high level. I thought it was another unbelievable performance again from him against Leeds. They really took control when Spurs needed him to, and I thought his finishing was, as usual, very, very high standard. And another astonishing game, another astonishing season for Harry Kane. Will it be the last time we see him in a Tottenham shirt? I hope not, but I guess it's all up in the air at the moment.
Yeah, and it's just like a shame that no one's really been talking about Harry Kane throughout the season because of how good Haaland has been. And when people are doing their teams of the year, you know, they're only putting one striker in and Kane ain't getting a look in because Haaland has been that good. 36 goals, beating the record for most goals in the Premier League year, Haaland. So I think Harry Kane has gone under the radar this year, but he has had an unbelievable season. He's equaled his best highing tally of a season ever with 30 goals. And to get 30 goals and hardly to be spoken about throughout a season is actually quite amazing. 10 goals more than anyone below him. So, I mean, it's just a shame that it's been in this kind of Tottenham team. But that makes it even more impressive that it has been in this kind of Tottenham team.
What do you think's harder, scoring more goals or scoring in more games?
I mean, you're going to be remembered more for scoring in more goals, aren't you?
Yeah, but it's true. But to break a record to score in the most games ever in a Premier League season shows more consistency, doesn't it?
It does show more consistency, but I mean, to score more goals, to score 36 goals in a season, I mean, you can't say that is less of an achievement. I mean, because no one's ever done that before. Yeah, but I guess no one's ever done that before either. It's true. It's true. I mean, both of them are miraculous, to be honest. Both of them are insane. And for Harry Kane to do it in this Tottenham team, though, is more miraculous than Haaland to score 36 goals in that Man City team.
Maybe let us know in the comment section below. What's harder, scoring more games or scoring more goals?
Yeah, well, seeing as they both broke the record this season, you can say they've both had absolutely insane season. They're both absolutely insane strikers. But I'll say it. I said it before, and I'll say it again. If Harry Kane was in that Man City team, he would have scored more than 36 goals.
You think he couldn't get 6 more goals in this?
7 more goals.
7 more goals in this City team? Of course he could.
100%. Let's move on to our takeaway number 3, and that is clinical Porro.
Yeah, and another brilliant game for Pedro Porro in terms of his offensive output. Got a goal and assist, and with his goal as well, really clinical finish, arrowed into the far corner from a really tight angle. That adds to his repertoire of finishes, leading from Southampton away and Man United at home, which are also equally very difficult finishes from tight angles, which he was able to finish with aplomb. And he's really showing his finishing chops, I think, in a Tottenham shirt. That's now 6 goal contributions in 9 starts in the Premier League. And considering he's had his troubles since coming to the Premier League, he said after the Leicester game, it was like a big wake-up call for him about how hard this league's going to be. I think he's actually done a good job in a short space of time adapting, and to get that kind of output so quickly is impressive.
Yeah, no, it really is. And I think we've actually got a gem on our hands with Pedro Porro. The way his attacking output for such a short space of time in the Premier League, 3 goals and 3 assists from right wing back, I think has been absolutely brilliant from Pedro. But do you think, like, if we are to move to a 4 at the back system next year, do you think he might be better a bit further up the pitch?
I think from his in terms of like his ability in front of goal, I think yes, but I do question, like, when you're a winger, you have to take people on a consistent basis. You have to make space for yourself. I feel like in the system right now that we play, you know, Kulusevski in front of him, and he's got strikers there. If he has to have that responsibility to make space for himself rather than other players making space for him, I do question how effective he'll be. Rather than right now in this system, I feel like there's other players making space for him, and it makes him a lot more effective to have that space to have his attacking outputs. Because I don't know if his dribbling ability in one-on-one situations is good enough compared to other wingers in the Premier League.
But again, he is young, and I do think he has something about him with his dribbling and being able to take on a man. So maybe it's something he can improve on.
Potentially, but he's like an old school winger in that sense. You know, he'll go around the outside, and he's not one who can play on the left and cut inside kind of thing. He'll go on the outside and whipping across. Maybe it would very much be a throwback if he was to become a right winger. I do question it though.
Fair enough. Let's move on to takeaway number 4, and that is finally an away win for the first time since January.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been a long time coming. You know, we've had a lot of games away from home where we've given up leads and really shut ourselves against Newcastle and Liverpool, and then giving away leads against Everton and Southampton, and it's just lots of away trips have had unhappy trips home. But finally, we have an away win to celebrate for the first time in a long time. I did question after the Southampton game, are we going to win another away game for the rest of the season? But we got one right at the end, and so that's a good thing, I guess. But look, it's been a terrible season away from home.
It really has. And, you know, let's be honest, Leeds were willing participants today. They have been one of the worst teams in the Premier League this season. So I think we did it with a fair amount of ease yesterday, to be honest, at Ellen Road. But look, we got the points on the board. We got our final away win of the season. It was a long time coming, but it was good to see us put 4 goals away from home. And we did that last season, didn't we? We scored 4 goals at Ellen Road as well. So that's that. And let's move on to the 5th and final takeaway. And that is a so long farewell, goodbye to Lucas Moura.
Yeah, he only had a couple minutes on the pitch, but he definitely made the most of them with an unbelievable solo run and finish, which unfortunately we haven't seen too much of over the his last few years at Spurs. But if there was ever a way for him to end off his time at Tottenham, that was probably the most fitting way you could ever think of. And the players lifted him off. It was a very emotional goodbye. But look, Lucas Moura has been a good servant to Spurs. He's always tried his best. He's given us brilliant moments in the past. And so we wish him a fond farewell, but we just wish that goal, we could have seen that kind of thing on a more consistent basis.
Yeah, definitely. I think that when you take into account how frustrated we were getting with Lucas in the last couple of games that he did play, you know, coming on, getting sent off against Everton, and then that really terrible pass at Anfield after we had just levelled it up 3-3. You know, we were getting very frustrated at him at that time. But I think at times like this, he's been a good servant for so long. He absolutely, for a Brazilian as well, bleeds blue and white. He always gave his all for the shirt and the badge, which you can't say for every player that's donned this shirt. So I think Lucas Moura's time at Spurs should be remembered for the good times, you know, like the goal he scored that night in Amsterdam at Old Trafford. I think he scored a hat-trick against Huddersfield as well when the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium first opened. So and it's, you know, it's not even that that night in Amsterdam. He was so central to that Champions League run in total. I mean, he got that last-minute goal at PSV as well. He scored at the Nou Camp to send us through. So, I mean, that whole Champions League run, it wasn't just that night in Amsterdam. He was central to the whole thing.
And he came in when Kane was injured, didn't he, against Man City, and played a pivotal role in those games. He was actually always very good in Europe. Even in Europa League games, he'd always score in like group stage games and stuff like that. So maybe now we're out of Europe now, that's probably the best time for him to leave.
Yes.
But look, fond farewell for Lucas. Great ending to his Spurs career, and hopefully he'll be remembered for that more than maybe his bad moments this season.
Yeah, I think so, and I think like you can put those bad moments in the distant part of your memory and really focus on the good moments that he did for us, because the good moments were pretty much legendary moments. So big up to Lucas Moura. Thank you for your service, and we'll be keeping an eye on whichever's next in your career. But that is our 5 takeaways from the 4-1 win against Leeds. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of the takeaways. Send a little message to Lucas Moura in the comment section below as well. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.